Hello everybody and welcome to episode 5 of Firefight. I'm your host David. Now, hopefully you've watched my Army Focused where I discussed a lot about the Thalax, because obviously they played a massive part in the beginning of my second Mechanicum army, which then merged into an auto-reductor force supported by tanks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take a close look at the Thalax. Now, I mentioned in that video that one of the absolute banes of the 45 Thalax and the Magos army was that Contemptors armed with chain fists or a close combat weapon and a Keres Pattern assault cannon absolutely rinse Thalax, and I wasn't lying, they absolutely do the business. So what we're going to do here, we're just, for a bit of fun, we're just going to show you that. Now, the forces that I've chosen, I've got an Iron Hands Contemptor Dreadnought. I'm just going to refer to my notes here. He's a 175 points base. He's got an Assault Cannon 15 points. He's got a Chain Fist for 10, and he's got a Melter Gun in his fist. So it's all WYSIWYG, and his points total comes out at 205 points, okay? Now, firstly, we're going to do points on points. So we'll match the same amount of points in Thalax, and I don't think they'll fare well, but we're going to do it anyway. So a Thalax for a cohort of 3 is 135 points. I've then equipped them with the standard loadout, how I would normally equip the squad as if I was taking the 45 Thalax and the HQ. They've got one multi-melter in the squad. They all have melter bombs. They have the Destructor special rule, which is an upgrade for the Thalax unit, and that gives them tank hunters essentially, and they all have heavy chain blades. Now, normally I would take them in squads of 9, and we are going to do that in the next part of Firefight, but for the meantime, we're just going to do points for points. And what we're going to do in each occasion, we're going to do the Contemptor first, then the Thalax, and then the Thalax, and then the Contemptor. So we're just going to mix it up. So it's all about who gets into position first and gets to fire their weapons. And then after that, we'll then do a full 9-man squad. I know you might think it's a little bit unfair, but believe me, I've chucked nearly 2 full squads, 18 Thalax and 6 photon thrusters at a Contemptor, and it is still stood standing at the end of it. So it's not dramatically unfair. I appreciate I've taken a multi-melter in this occasion, but I'm just trying to even it up a little bit. So without further ado, let's get on with it. I've got some dice in my pocket, and for those of you that have been on the channel, you know I love pocket dice. That makes the day so much easier, I can promise. All right, so we've obviously got the channel dice for the Mechanicum, and then we've got this really awesome Inquisition symbol is a 6, a nice white dice. So we're going to roll for initiative first, just see who gets the first kind of their phase. So movement, shooting, and then assault. And both units will move, shoot, and assault because we just want to demonstrate what happens. All right, so here's the roll. Oh, that's not a good sign, is it? Okay, so the Contemptor Dreadnought will go first. Now, we're pretty close, but we're just going to move the Contemptor just a little bit closer to make sure he can make his charge. I'm quite confident that the Contemptor will rip down at least one of those Thalax, so we don't want to hamstring him straight away by not getting into combat. All right, so first of all, we'll start with a Keres Pattern assault cannon. It is the most effective weapon against Thalax, no doubt about that. So we know the drill for this. It's 6 shots. It's an absolute monstrous piece of equipment on that Contemptor. It's ballistic skill 5 and hitting on 2s. Well, unsurprisingly, I would say it's a full complement. We've got 5 hits, which is great. Keres are strength 6, Thalax are toughness 5. It is AP4, so they will need a feel no pain, and 6s are rending. Rending doesn't really make a difference here. It's because it's AP4, we're not too worried about it. So strength 6, toughness 5, 3s to wounds. Oh, not amazing. All right, that's interesting. So 3 failed to wound, and we got 2 wounds through onto the Thalax, and now they will need a 6-up feel no pain. Now, you remember what I said in that video? I'm really good at making 6-up feel no pains for Thalax, and there is a fantastic example. So, unbelievably, only 1 wound was suffered from that Thalax, which was unreal. All right, so next we're going to go with the Melter Gun in the fist of the Contemptor, hitting on 2s. Wow, look at that. Multi-misser lives up to its name. Unbelievable. Okay, so we've moved, we've shot, and now we're going to charge the Thalax. But of course, they get to Overwatch. Now, I have Overwatched a Titan a knight rather, to death, which has been unbelievable. And that happened to one of my Magos, and he's got a twin-linked Meltagun. Rolled a 6 to hit, and then rolled an explode, and then he lost a couple of hull points first of all, and then rolled a 6, and then additional and got a 6, and just blew the thing apart. Unreal. Anyway, let's see what happens. We're going to start off with the 2 lightning guns first of all. 6s, negative, and then finally the multi-melter. Can it fare better than the Contemptor? Boom! Yes, it can. All right. Double armor pen, strength 8, front armor 13. There is an invulnerable save from the Contemptor, so let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. That is a mighty penetrate. Now, of course, because the Thalax took the Destructor upgrade, they could reroll if they want to, but there's no way I'm rerolling a 10. So absolutely amazing result. So this is just a 5-up invulnerable on the front of the Contemptor. Can it happen? Oh, boom. All right, so it goes through. What happens? Damage? 3, 4, 5. This is a good result. Okay, so it is a weapon destroyed. There are 2 arms on the Contemptor. 1 to 3 the carries. 4, 5 or 6 the close combat weapon. Oh, and it's the close combat weapons. The close combat weapon is gone. Can I take it off? Yes, I can. Unbelievable. And now it's only got his carries. Now, that's not a bad result. I mean, this never usually happens. It just goes to show, you know, when you try to film something and demonstrate something, it never works. But anyway, fine. We've lost a hull point. We've lost its special arm. And now we're going to go into the Thalax charge, of course. All right, so we get a 7. Hammer of Wrath at strength 7 into toughness 5. 2s to wound. It wounds. 4 up armor. Pass it. Unreal. All right, so next we're going to the assault phase. The Contemptor has, I always get this wrong for Contemptor attacks, they get 3 attacks base, plus 1 for charging, so 4 attacks. Now we're not strength 10 of course, but we are strength 7. And we require, let's have a quick look, weapon skill 5 versus weapon skill 3, so 3s to hit. That's not bad, that is 3 hits. And now 2s, strength 7 toughness 5, yeah, 2s to wound. 3 wounds, fantastic. All right, so we've got 1 Thalax on 2 wounds, 4 ups. Oh, fails. That does do a Thalax. Okay, not bad work considering he lost his Power Fist, and then another armor save for the other Thalax and passes. All right. So that's quite an amazing result there. Really, really interesting to see that. If the Contemptor hadn't have lost his fist, those Thalax would have been dead. And let's just quickly do that just to see what would have happened. So we know we had 4 attacks, hit on 3s. Oh, okay, so it doesn't matter. It was the same result. 2s to wound, bomb, wipes a Thalax out. Okay, so really interesting. All right, next we'll go to Initiative 1. Well, hang on a minute. We could go to Initiative 2 and use the Heavy Chain Blades on the Thalax. It's strength 7 against front armor 13, so it's 6s to glance, which is a real shame, but you get Destructor, but we're not worried about that. We're going to use the Melter Bombs, and this is why I equip the Thalax with lots of different options, so they can take on high toughness monstrous creatures or high toughness characters, or they can take on vehicles or dreadnoughts or walkers with those Melter Bombs. All right, so 2 attacks, 4s to hit with those Melter Bombs, 1 hit, double armor. Look at that, an amazing roll there, which is fantastic. What happens? Plus 2 to this result. 4, 5, 6. That is an immobilized result and a second hull point down onto that Contemptor. So that Contemptor is some serious trouble. At the end of that round, the Contemptor Dreadnought has won the combat by a difference of 1. So it scored 2 wounds against the Thalax, which killed it off, and 1 hull point was caused in return. So the Thalax will need a leadership test. They are stubborn at leadership 8. Cool, they pass on a 7, so fantastic news. Now, one thing that does crop up a lot, do wounds caused on Overwatch count towards, I guess, combat resolution is what it used to be, and no, they don't. So ignore any dangerous or any Overwatch shots. So the Thalax are still in the game, and we're going to go on to the second turn. All right, turn 2, and it starts with the Contemptor Dreadnought. He's Initiative 4. We've got 3 attacks now instead of 4 on the charge, and we go in against the Thalax. No close combat weapon, hitting on 3s. Not bad. 2 hits. Fantastic work. Strength 7, toughness 5. 2s to wound. 2 wounds. And now I need a 4 up armor. Oh, both failed. And now 6 up, feel no pain. Oh, both failed as well. So the Thalax with the lightning gun has 2 wounds. Then we'll go straight on to the 2 other Thalax. Initiative 1. Of course, they use their melter bombs. Let's have a look. Absolutely failed to wound. That is unfortunate. That's the end of the combat. Again, the Contemptor wins the combat by a difference of 2. Thalax are stubborn. And they fail. Massive fail. All right, so now we're going to have a roll off. The Contemptor plus 4 takes into a 6. And the Thalax plus 2. Wow, 4. The Thalax are swept by the Contemptor. All right, really interesting result there. After those 2 turns, I fully expected the Contemptor to walk through that unit of Thalax. Now, if I was playing a normal game, I probably would have doubled up, would have had firepower from other elements around the board, and then finished off the last 1 or 2 hull points on the Contemptor, because hopefully it would have taken some damage from the shooting phase. But unbelievably, that Overwatch Multi-Melter absolutely did the job and nullified that Dreadnought by taking its close combat arm. All right, so we're going to reset the board now. We're going to go into the Thalax, making their attack on the Contemptor, and they will move, shoot, and charge. So we're going to move them up again. We don't want to fail that charge because that would just be heartbreaking. But also as well, if you do manage to do the Contemptor in the shooting phase, then you've moved a little bit closer, and now you can advance with your thrust move later on around the board to get into a better position. So it's always worth doing it. If you think a 1-inch charge or a 2-inch charge is always doable, you know, it's best just to move closer, just to guarantee it. But anyway, so we've got 2 lightning guns hitting on 3s. Wow, both hit, fantastic. Strength 7, front armor 13, 6s. Okay, so it is a rend, so it is a penetrate, and I get destructor. Ooh, okay, 5, not bad. So we do have a penetrating hit. It's not AP2 on the damage chart, it's just a roll. Cool, takes it to a 3, and that is shaken. Next up, we'll fire the Multi-Melter. Can it do better? Oh, unbelievably, it misses. Fully expected that. All right, so that's not too bad. So we've reduced the Contemptor down to 1 hull point and is shaken. So that's not too bad. Next, we will fire onto... we'll declare a charge with the Thalax into the Contemptor. So we get a bit of Overwatch. We'll start the Multi-Melter on a 6. Nothing. And then finally, 6 shots from that awesome Carey's Pattern Assault Cannon. Oh, not a sausage. Okay, no problem. And now the charge from the Thalax. Wow, mighty 8-inch charge. All right, into the first round of combat. The Contemptor has, check my notes here, 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s into the Thalax. This is it. 3 massive hits from that Strength 10 instant death to Thalax weapon. All right, so we need 2s to wipe the squad. Can they do it? Oh, there's a sneaky 1 in there. All right, so we don't get full no pain. We don't get an armor save. And that is 2 Thalax gone. Now that could have easily have been the entire squad. All right, so we're going to go in at initiative 1 with the Melter Bomb from the Lonely Thalax there. Requires 4 to hit. Ooh, it's a 5. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. Double armor. Ooh, takes it to a 10, but with Destructor, we get to reroll, thankfully. Oh my word. Okay, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That does not penetrate the front armor of the Contemptor. That is really, really unlucky. All right, let's see what happens. They lose by 6, but they are stubborn. One of the most amazing rules against Thalax. 8 or less, and they pass on a 3. Fantastic news. All right, round 2 between the Contemptor and the Lonely Thalax. Again, the Contemptor steps up with 3 attacks. 3s to hit. Could be the Thalax's day. All right, we only get 1 hit. 2s to wound. Oh, that is it. Done. The Thalax is destroyed. The Contemptor is victorious, and it will consolidate 1 inch. Where was that 1 where the old to wound roll came? All right, well, we'll just advance that Contemptor up. I've lost his arm. It's not a good sign. Stick it back on. All right, there he goes. All right, there we have it. So like I said, in my army focus, you know, with the Thalax, they are great at doing lots of things, but taking down armor can be quite difficult for them, as that has just been perfectly demonstrated here. They do need a little bit of support from other units, and I appreciate this is just in isolation and there would be other elements on the board, and you really have to double up. But also as well, when you get to a point where you're close enough to charge a Contemptor, that 9 strong unit of Thalax is quite heavily reduced. So to use 3 is probably a good comparison, because by the time you get to a Contemptor, you've probably only got 3 or 4 left. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to re-rack the entire thing. I'm going to have 9 Thalax on the board, all armed with lightning guns, except for the 3 which have photon thrusters. And you'll just see increasing those number of units and those specialist weapons really do strip down the points of that Contemptor. Now, I know you'll say to me, well, yeah, of course you will. You've got more special weapons, you've got more opportunities to fire. But as well, it goes to show that that Thalax squad will be worth around 500 points, and the Contemptor's worth 205. And if we go points for points and take dice rolls out of the equation, it's still really tough to take down that Contemptor. So it goes back to when I was saying in my army focus that people would be quite worried about taking all these Thalax with all these special weapons. Deep down inside, I was worried because I know the fragility of the army, and I know that you've just got to double up every time to make sure you concentrate your fire on one target and take it out, and then that removes a threat from the board. All right, so I'm going to re-rack. I'll be back in a second with some more Thalax. All right, I'm back. I'm back with a 9-strong Thalax unit. 3 are armed with photon thrusters, 6 are armed with lightning guns. They all have heavy chain blades and melter bombs and the Destructor special rule. Now, that squad is roughly, off the top of my head, worth around 555 points. It is a huge pointed unit, but when you've got 5 of those units on the board, it is fantastic, I can assure you. All right, so again, we're going to do our little dice roll. Hopefully I can find my white dice. No, I cannot. So this is for the initiative. Oh, look, here it is. Here it is. All right, so see who gets initiative in this fight first. And it is the Contemptor. I just knew deep down it would. All right, so let's fire the Caries first. It's lots of fun, isn't it? I am going to move them up ever so slightly just to make sure we can get that charge off should we kill a few Thalax. Ballista skill 5, hitting on 2s. Oh, away with dice there. All right, very good. So same result as last time, really interesting. 5 hits, strength 6, toughness 5. Oh wow, that was really good. So 3s to wound. We do get a rend in there, but we're not too worried about the rend. 4 ups armor gets through, so we need 6 up, feel no pain. Look at that. Those feel no pains. Oof. Keeping the Thalax in the fight. So we've lost 1 wound to the Caries. Now we're going for the multi-melter. Can it do the business? Multi-misser. I cannot believe that has happened. I mean, that is brilliant. If ever you wanted to roll a 1 for a multi-melter, here is the time, because multi-melters on rhinos, I don't know, on other units, they just miss all the time, and that was a perfect example. So very disappointed about that. Should have got some plasma in there. All right, it's going to declare its charge against the Thalax. Now there's going to be a fusillade of shots coming in from the Thalax. So first of all, let's do the lightning guns. There are 6 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6s. Not a sausage, disappointing. Now we'll do we'll do photon thrusters. I've got to do them separately because they get hot. So we'll start with the Thalax just there. 6s. No gets hot, thank God. I lose so many wounds to get hot. The next one is this little chap here. Gets hot, but no hit. Brilliant. 4 up armor. Passed. Phew. And then finally the Thalax over there with the photon thruster at the back. Not a sausage. It would have been nice to have got a hit against the Contemptor, because it would have needed a blind check, and there's a possibility it could have blinded it, and it's a weapon skill 1 in the close combat phase. That has happened so many times to me. It's brilliant. And then your Thalax have a much better chance of staying alive. You'll only probably lose 1 Thalax to a Contemptor. All right, so let's make the charge. I'm confident it will make it on an 8. Hammer of Wrath. 2s to wound. It does wound. 4 up. Passed. All right, interesting. All right, so the Contemptor, we know this already. 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, killing the Thalax on 2s. drops 1. Let's have a better result than the last one here. Look at that. 2 6s and a 3. So 1 Thalax, 2 Thalax, 3 Thalax are gone. Phew. All right, so next we'll come in 3-inch pile-in move from the Thalax. All right, attacks back from the Thalax at initiative 1. They are, of course, going to use their 6 melter bombs. They require 4s to hit. Oh my word, that is horrendous. All right, so we only get 3, but we're not too worried. It is a melter bomb after all. Strength 8, double armor. So we need 5 to glance, 6 to pen on 2 dice. There is a pen. That is another pen. Wow, these 6s are coming up. And again, ooh, so what's that? That's a glance. Shall we risk it? Oh, tricky. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk it. All right, so we've got 1 glance and 2 pens. We'll take the glance first. There is a 6 up. Invulnerable save from the Contemptor on a glance. It's saved. Now a pen. Oh my word. And another pen. Hot damn, we got it. All right, so unbelievable rolls there from the Contemptor. And now it's +2 to his result. If we don't do this, that Thalax squad is dead in the next turn. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, look at that. 6 + 2 is 8. That Contemptor has exploded. All right, the Contemptor has exploded, so we'll add +1 to this dice roll for the radius. It's a 4, which takes us to 5. I've got a thing here. Yeah, so that does catch everyone. So they suffer a strength 4 hit. So 2, 4, 6. Strength 4, toughness 5. 5's required. Still 2 hits. Fantastic. 4-ups. Double 6. My 6s today are unbelievable. All right, so that has saved, and that Contemptor has bitten the dust. Consolidate for the Thalax, and they have consolidated a mighty 2 inches. Now we'll go into the turn where the Thalax have the initiative, and they will strike first against the Contemptor, so they'll do their moving, shooting, and assault. Now the Thalax have a really good chance of dealing death to this Contemptor before they get to a charge. And in an ideal world, playing this army, it's always better to take stuff down in shooting, because if not, you are seriously going to struggle in assault, as we've seen. So it's always the ambition to do that. We're going to start off with the lightning guns. We've got 7 shots, 2, 4, 6, 1 more dice. See how easy pocket dice are? Ooh, love it. All right, 3s to hit. Unbelievable. They all hit. Unreal. Just one thing to note as well, if we were playing in a normal game and there was a Cyber Ocularis next to that unit, we could pass +1 ballistic skill onto the squad, so they would hit on 2s. And I regularly do that with the photon thrusters. It works really, really well. But it does require a little bit of engineering. And if you take 4 Cyber Ocularis, you can put them with really key units. I usually put 2 or 3 Cyber Ocularis with Thalax units, and then 1 on like a tank unit at the back, mainly the Venators. Anyway, 7 hits from the lightning guns. 6s, we get Tank Hunter thanks to Destructor. See what happens. 6s. Oh, where's all the 6s now, huh? Destructor, give me 1. Oh wow, we've got 2, that'll do. Contemptor has 5 up, invulnerable save. Look, boom, there it is. 1 whole point remaining on that Contemptor. And now we'll go on with the photon thrusters. So we'll start at the front and work back. 3's required. 1's a get hot, 1 get hot. Brilliant. 4 up, passed. So we've got 1 hit so far. The one behind, in the middle, going well. You usually get 1 hit and 1 get hot. And finally, the last one, look at that. That is 2, 4, 5 hits. Unbelievable. Now, the photon thrusters are strength 6, but thanks to the Lance special rule, it makes all armoured targets 12, which is fantastic. So we need 6s, and then followed by 6s for the Tank Hunters or Destructor special rule. I've got a feeling, yeah, there it is. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Now we get to re-roll it. Yes. That re-roll for Destructor is so important. And people say to me, oh, why don't you take Icarian, which means they go into heavy support slot and they have the Skyfire special rule. I ignore flyers completely when I play in a game. I don't bother unless I've got nothing else to shoot at, and I just take snapshots. I've got better luck with that rather than leaving a Thalax unit at the back or somewhere safe to purposely fire against that Xiphon or Fire Raptors. If an opponent's got a Fire Raptor, there's no point trying to take it out. You just have to put up with the damage. It's a waste of time. And there are obviously, of course, Ferox, which gives you I think it's a +1 attack, but gives you rending with close combat attacks, which is great when you couple it with the chain blades at strength 7. Really, really cool. But you know, this army is all about shooting. And then finally, there's one called Emfright, and that allows you to essentially deep strike into Zone Mortalis. But if you're not playing Zone Mortalis, it's a waste of time. Anyway, I digress. We got 2 glances. Whew, hard to remember. Invulnerable save from the Contemptor, 5-ups. Unbelievable. It goes to show, you know, this is exactly what happens when I play this army. It's so frustrating. That's why you need to double up all the time, because if you think you've got enough weapons, a full squad to take out that Contemptor, you are severely wrong. I mean, don't get me wrong, every so often you get one that just punches through the armor, one shot, off, exploded. But that very rarely happens to me. It always happens when someone's playing me, but not when I'm playing someone. I never get those one shots off. It's so frustrating. All right, so we've seen the firepower from the Thalax. It is fantastic, but it was quite ineffective, only dealing 2 hull points. The final thing we need to do is the photon thrusters causes blind against a Contemptor, and we could really do with the Contemptor failing it. Now the Contemptor's initiative is, refer to my notes, 4. So on a 5 or 6, he fails and he is weapon skill 1. No, he's passed it. That's okay. We'll just have to tough it out in combat. Now we're going to declare a charge from the Thalax into the Contemptor. Overwatch. Multi-misser. Oh, yes. Rolled a 1. Always happens. 2, 4, 6. Put one of those away in my pocket. 6s with that carries. We get 2. That's not bad, you know. That'll rip 2 wounds out. Strength 6, toughness 5, 3s to wound. 1 wound. 6 up, feel no pain because it beats the armor of 4 up. No, so that is 1 wound on the lead Thalax. Now the charge. You'll notice I didn't move them close enough, so that's bad error on my part. Let's see if they make it or not. Okay, we're lucky in this time. They do. Move 9 whole inches. So let's move these in. I am going to measure because I'm very particular about measuring when I play games against people, because sometimes it doesn't always go my way. They always add an extra inch on here or there. So they are within 9 at the back, so that's good. I know it may sound really petty, but some people's rulers are elasticated, you know, and when you're against an opponent and it's a really, really critical charge and you don't want them to make it, and it's a 5-inch charge, for example, and they're like 4.5, they'll go, oh yeah, it made it in. Drives me mental. Anyway, all right, it doesn't always happen, but you will get the odd player that will just, oh yeah, you know, narratively speaking, they would have made their charge. What? You didn't. That's that. Anyway, not trying to have a whinge. They've made it in. They haven't suffered any wounds from, 1 wound, sorry, from Overwatch. So not too bad. But the Contemptor will strike first. Let's see what happens. We might lose 1 or 2 Thalax here. Initiative 4. 3 attacks. Let's see what happens. Hit on 3s. Look at that. 3 hits. 2s to kill. 3 Thalax have been destroyed. Great work by that Contemptor. You know, imagine a Contemptor with double close combat weapons being charged. I mean, that is frightening, you know? Absolutely frightening. All right, so we're now at the initiative 2 for the Thalax, but we're going to use our Meltamon, so we're initiative 1. Everyone gets a little move. Oh, God. Everyone's in. So we've got 6 left. 2, 4. Oh, wish me luck. 4s to hit with the Melter Bombs. Oh, that is terrible. 3 hits. I mean, geez. I guess it's average, right? 5 to glance, 6 to pen with Destructor as well, so we can re-roll this. Don't need to on the first one. Don't need to on the second one. That 6 is lovely. 5, 6, 7. We don't need it. So we have 3 penetrates. Now we do get invulnerable save from that Contemptor on a 6. Saves 1. Oh my word. All right, we need that lucky roll now. 5 or more to destroy it. Boom! Does the business. Fantastic. So that Contemptor has exploded. It will take the Thalax, so they are in range, I would imagine, unless we roll really badly. 2, 3, we're still in range. That's 6 wounds to take. 2, 4, 5, 6 hits rather. No wounds. Oh, sorry, 1 wound, because it's strength 4, isn't it? Toughness 5. Armor save. Missed the dice tray. It is saved. All right, and then the Thalax will consolidate. 5 inches, that's really good. We'll take that. We'll spread out just in case there's any more Iron Hands units wanting to gun the Thalax down. Phew, done. Now that was really fun. I think I've demonstrated how tough a Contemptor can be because they are a fantastic unit. But also, with the Thalax, it might seem daunting when they're on the table and there's 45 of them on the board, but they are a tough army. The army is constantly hunting for 6s, and that's what I explained in the army focus. It's fun, they're highly maneuverable, they're great at taking objectives, but it's really frustrating when you throw 555 points of shooting into a Contemptor and you only strip 2 whole points. Now, I appreciate it's a dice game, and like I said earlier, it could have just done it in one go, but stuff like that, you always hope for that result, but you have to play the numbers. And I just thought that was a fantastic representation of that. All right, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Firefight. It's been really fun for me. All right, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode of Firefight. It's been really fun for me getting the Thalax out. Haven't had a game in probably 8-9 weeks now, so really frustrating, but it's really good to get those Thalax back out and have a bit of a whirl with the dice. I really hope you've enjoyed it too. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below, or you can message me on social media or email me, david@30kchannel.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.